Hello, this is the TradeSite US Stocks and Futures and Forex Market Preview for the week beginning Sunday the 24th of October, 2021, ending Friday the 29th. A couple things about this week, so it's interesting, right? We're in core earnings season, so we're going to have a lot of earnings coming out. We saw what happened with Intel this week and everything else, but it really starts, it's been here, we got another week of it. But here's the thing. Friday the 29th is the last day of October. So even though it's not a quarter end, it is a month end, and it'll be a month end statement. So Friday should be boring as heck. And then I do want to remind everybody, obviously it's Halloween on next Sunday, but we do want to pay attention to the fact that the following weekend is a time change here in the U.S. So we'll see what happens. Usually this is a very exciting time of year. It has not been yet. We saw some signs of life, but it didn't go materialize anywhere. So let's go through the Forex stuff first, then the futures, then the stocks, and we'll see what happens. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart. You can see this week was basically contained inside of the opening candle. Well, the candle of Tuesday, Monday was a little higher, but there's not a lot there. So then let's go to the euro dollar, which is the inverse of the dollar index. Nothing different there. Get the pound dollar, right? Same thing. The Tuesday candle eclipsed the rest of the week. You'll see that in the intraday action in a few minutes. The Aussie dollar moved up a little bit, but then came back, so not a lot of movement there. The euro yen, all right, there's not a lot of action there. The pound yen is what it is. There's not much excitement there from that perspective. The pound Swiss, so flat for the last 8 months. New Zealand dollar pair, not much there either. All right, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is let's go look at the 30-minute candles of the major pairs at least. So let's just look, because it's not an exciting week. Euro dollar, high to low for the week is 100 pips, but the thing is, look at Monday and look at the move up Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 60 pips the whole week. Like, that's not tradable. Like, we don't do that. And then if you look at the pound dollar, which is the one we usually trade, here's what we get. So the high to low for the week here is only 100-something pips. I mean, for the pound, that's just not interesting. So there's nothing signal-wise to look at on the pound or the euro. We don't want to get wrapped up in it, but it is what it is. Here's the ES front-month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market. In futures form, as you can see, we've gotten near the highs, or we swept the highs. There's actually the uptrend line going back from February to here. We broke it in September, came back up and retested the underside of it, came back down, and then now we're retesting it again, basically. So we're still under the uptrend line that's been in place for a long time, and we were testing it. That's not a positive for the markets, by the way. So we'll see what happens here. Crude oil up $1.48 to 80. This is big. 83.98 new closing highs on crude oil. Now I will say, back in the 2000s, the early 2000s, when the market collapsed in 2008, one of the things we said back then was that if crude oil gets over 80, that would be bad for the market. Literally, that was the top when it got over 80. But I do want to be clear. I don't know that this is the same thing yet, because there's some inflation, right? So maybe it's 100, maybe it's whatever. We don't know yet. But it's not great, but at the same time, it's because there's building demand. The economy is coming back. The world's trying to move things, right? There's a cost to all that. I don't know that this is the same as breaking over 80 back in 2008, but we will see at some point in time, if it goes to 100, 120, somewhere in there, there's going to be a number that really starts to hurt the economy. And again, we're not surprised, because there's just problems out there, right? Here's gold up $11.20, but it came back sharply late in the day. And when I say sharply, look at that. Like, that's the intraday action, so I don't want to fudge that one. All right, so S&P cash index loses. So S&P is only down 4 points a day. Not the end of the world. Nobody cares. New closing highs the prior day, swept new highs today, but close negative. It doesn't really matter now. The Nasdaq down 134. Yeah, that's a little different. Kind of rolling over. Never got anywhere, but we're still under the long-term uptrend line. So let's be clear about that. SOX loses 41 points. That's where it's been. Like, the SOX has not really gone anywhere this whole year for the most part, or at least since February. But I mean, look, if you look at the February high close, which is 32 something, we closed at 33.70 here. I mean, you're talking about 160 points on a $3,000 index. That's not a big deal. The biotechs lose 22. That doesn't look good either. The Russell 2000 down 4.91 points. And look, we're still in the same range. So this has been a really boring year for the markets. I know a lot of people think, oh, everything's up and blah, blah, blah. Some of the Nasdaq stocks have been up, some of the big tech stocks, but it's not an overall good market this last year. So if you're wondering like, oh, I didn't have this breakout year in my life, this is why. The Dow gains 73.94, new closing highs. On the Dow, we all know that's 30 stocks. Nobody cares. The TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, up $1.57 to 144.13. So that's lower rates. Nasdaq advanced decline ratio was negative 521. So more stocks down than up. Something we haven't seen a ton of lately in the last 2 weeks, but it was there. The advanced decline ratio on the Nasdaq basically flat at plus 28. Nobody cares. The trend closes at 1.03, puts the 10-day at 1.03. So we're right back up there now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, we're going to drop off some big numbers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if we get some 0.8 numbers or lower for a couple days, the next 3 days in particular, we could still get the moving average, the 10-day moving average, down back under 0.85, and that would be significant for the markets. Nasdaq volume 5.7. There's a little bit of earnings help from Intel, which reported and traded heavily. The VIX 0.42, up 0.42 with the closing at 15.43. So that's fine. This is the lowest it's been since COVID, by the way. COVID started. That's not good for the markets. Well, it's good for the markets heading up. It's not good for action for us. Apple down 79 cents. Is what it is. We made some money off of the 13 sell signal on the 30-minute candle that we talked about the day before. Amazon down 99.46. Still a blip exactly where it was back in February. Note how many of these stocks have not done anything all year. Facebook is still up a little bit since February, and that's great. Google down 86 and has done something. Google's the one that's gained. Apple hasn't. Goldman Sachs up 6.73. Also up for the year, but running into a static trend line right there. Netflix up $11.62. This is by the way, people say Netflix is in trouble. Netflix, well, it's the only stock making new highs out of the major tech stocks, the FANG stocks. Tesla up. It's at all-time highs too, because why not? There's a big cup there. Up 15.68 for the day. Zoom up $2.80. You got Bitcoin over 60,000 still. It was higher earlier in the week. Now testing the 10-day moving average, and it is what it is. In terms of intraday action for the week, here's the ES, and let's go to 10-minute candles so we can, actually look at, not what I wanted to do. What's going on here? Everything's jumping around. Here's 10-minute candles on the ES. Right, so small gap down Monday, filled the gap. Pushed up a little bit and then dead flat the rest of the day. Tuesday gap up, pushed up a little bit, but not much excitement. Dead flat, small candles the rest of the day. Wednesday small gap up, dead flat the whole day. Thursday dead flat, made new highs, pulled back, whatever. I mean, there's not a lot of trading opportunities in this whole week if you look at it, but we had a green week, so there's nothing to complain about. But it is what it is. In terms of economic data coming out in the week ahead, let's take a quick look at that. We've got, look, I'm going to skip some of the junk we don't care about. China's got a bunch of numbers Sunday, and then we go into Monday. We've got the housing starts and foreign security purchases here in out of Canada, industrial production capacity utilization out of the U.S., NAHB housing market index out of the U.S. We've got, the Swiss trade balance Tuesday, housing starts and building permits. That's weird. Oh, out of the U.S., yeah, on Tuesday. We've got the CB leading index out of Australia, GDP price index out of New Zealand. A lot of Fed members speaking. We'll see if they shake the market. Trade balance out of Japan. We're already into Wednesday. German PPI, UK CPI and PPI. Current account out of Europe, housing price index out of the UK, CPI out of Europe, 10-year bond action out of UK. We got CPI out of Canada Wednesday. That's fine. U.S. crude oil inventories at 10:30 on Wednesday. Beige book at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Going into Thursday, nothing that matters. And then Philly Fed manufacturing index, unemployment claims. That's the weekly number here in the U.S. on Thursday. The ADP non-farm employment change out of Canada, 8:33. That's weird. 8:33 a.m. Eastern time. Consumer confidence out of Europe. CB leading index out of the U.S. Natty gas out of the U.S. along with our existing home sales. Not much the rest of the world. And then you got flash manufacturing PMI and services PMI out of France, Germany, the broad European sector, the UK, retail sales out of Canada, the same flash and services PMI numbers here in the US. Powell speaks at 11 a.m. on Friday, and federal budget balance at 158. So none of our big three. There's a lot of earnings though. We're in earnings season, core earnings season. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in particular, after the market, you're going to see some stuff, and it's not that kind of ideal trading scenario when you have to work around that, but it is what it is. Charts as usual, brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken the trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple of weeks. Have a great trading week.